Welcome to the Greg Bennett Show. I'm your host, Greg Bennett, and this was an inspiring episode with Radka Kahlefeldt. Honestly, the takeaways of how she operates and the time management that she has to raise her two children, be a world-class triathlete, and also help in running her business, the Wagga Swim School, with her husband, Brad Kahlefeldt. It's amazing how these two are able to make it happen. One of my favorite stories in this episode, you have to listen to it, is when Radka came back 11 weeks after giving birth to her first child and wins the Ironman 70.3 in the Philippines. She actually traveled with her daughter on her own to do this event. Mind-boggling. Anyway, some great stories in this one. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. And remember, success comes to those who endure just one moment longer. All right, today's guest is an Ironman 70.3 legend, Olympian and Supermom of two. She's represented the Czech Republic at the 2012 Olympics, then transitioned to middle distance and Ironman 70.3 events and absolutely crushed them. She's won almost 50% of the middle distance events she started, and she started well over 50 of them. So her domination after giving birth to a daughter was incredible in 2018 and 2019 seasons. You got to go look that up. I spent the morning looking at that and just going, wow. But she hasn't stopped there. She's clinched her spot to the Hawaiian Ironman World Championships off the back of not one, but two second place finishes 6 weeks apart in Ironman Australia and Ironman Cairns. She's the epitome of grit and excellence in the world of triathlon, and she's doing it all while raising a family and running a business. Add to that, she's one half of the triathlon super couple and married to Aussie Olympian Brad Kahlefeldt. So, without further ado, welcome and thanks for joining me on the Greg Bennett Show, Radka Kahlefeldt. How are you, Rads? I'm
good, thank you, Greg. Thanks for the great intro. I'm happy that you don't see me because I'm completely red and shy now from the intro.
Well, I was just saying you before I hit record, I like to do a fair bit of homework on each of my guests. And I was like, I knew you'd done some great things. I was like, wow, you've really crushed it. You really crushed it. So kudos to you and massive congrats. But listen, it's 9 p.m. there. I don't know how you're still talking to me at 9 p.m. between training for the Ironman Kona World Championships, raising kids, running a business. How are you still going?
So I made an exemption for you to talk to you, Greg, because it's great to be invited to be on your show. Normally by 9 p.m. I'm just sitting on the couch completely dead next to Brad and just breathing because the girls go to sleep at 8. And I don't even talk to anyone. I don't even talk to my mom because I'm tired most of the days.
Oh, honestly, like, what did you get up to today? It's 9 p.m. Like you said, you're normally not talking. I know that kind of feeling. You're absolutely spent. There's no noise. The kids are quiet. But what did you get up to today?
So Thursdays are probably my favorite days because I have a run group at 6 a.m. So I don't even count that as training. You can switch off your brain and you still do a really good fartlek session. The group training helps so much, and I don't get to do many group trainings. Most of the training I do is on my own. So this Thursday is like a treat. And so that's the first thing. I actually fight with Brad who gets to go for this run. But now before Hawaii, I have the priority. After Hawaii, it's all his. But yeah, so that's first. And then I had to go home. Brad went straight out of the door for his run. We always do tag team. I got the girls ready, Ruby for school, Indy for daycare. Went straight to dentist because I'm just making sure my teeth are in check as well. Straight to dentist. From dentist, I went for a massage. That's why I love Thursdays, because I have time for a massage. Then did a quick Father's Day shopping for Brad. It's this weekend coming up.
Oh, yes.
Then gym. And then I did sauna for the first time because we've decided the Woga winter is not really ideal for Kona prep. So we just started with sauna as of today. Loved it. And then home and went to work for a little bit. As you know, we have Woga Swim Hub. We own a business swim school of, one of the biggest in Riverina here. We love it. I don't really have to work, but I'm there most of the days just supervising and making sure everything is running well. We're coming into a busy period because the summer is starting and all the parents are panicking and realizing their kids need to learn to swim before summer. So yeah, it's pretty busy. And then home, get the kids to sleep. And now they are sleeping for an hour already.
Oh, wow.
Good.
This episode, it's just all about time management, I feel. It's like anybody that wants to learn how to squeeze the most out of every minute, every moment of every day. I feel like this episode is about that, because honestly, the fact that you're able, not only doing those things, you're doing them with such intent that you're squeezing the most out of all of your workouts, because we can see by your performances. Like, you're not just going for a run. You're not just going for a swim or a bike. The intensity in which you're bringing is just so amazing, because there's no way you can be doing 40-hour weeks of training and raising the family and working. So the time that you do have, you're really making the most of.
Yeah. Are you reading my notes here? You sent me like a few questions, and all I had time to prepare is to write time management, planning, efficiency, and you just like read it out. Thank you.
Well, I think it's one of those things. Like, that's why I even wanted to start the show by just recapping what you did today, because anybody listening, if they've done one or two of those things, they've done a pretty good day. And you've just rattled off 7 or 8 things, plus, your relationship with Brad and putting the kids as a priority. It really is amazing. And I'm just so grateful to have you on. I do want to let you know that it's 7 a.m. here. If I get an interruption, my kids are all just outside the door here getting ready for school. So I apologize if we hear a little interruption or Dad want to run in and give me a hug or something. I'm just giving you a heads up. But I have been excited to get you on the show. I had Brad on the show back in April of this year. And, we spoke about, okay, well, when can I have Rads on? I didn't want you on right away, but now that you've qualified for Kona, you've back-to-back Ironmans, really incredible start to the year. How are you feeling about this transitioning over this last 18 months to Ironman from the 70.3?
It's been a interesting journey, I would say. I always thought I'm super happy with my 70.3 distance. I love it. It's not destroying my body. I'm happy. I can race a lot, and this is why I started with triathlon, and I just love racing. So I could race every weekend if I wanted to. And so it was kind of Brad who convinced me. He said, you cannot finish until you try, or you have to try the Ironman at least once. So I always had excuses. So I was like, well, first I need to have children, because what if I just always thought you'll destroy your body and you can't have kids maybe or something. So I was like, well, I want to have kids first. So then I had Ruby, and then Brad is like, okay, let's do Ironman then. And I just basically thought I'll do it, so he's quiet. and then after the first one, which I did in Cairns last year, I just loved it. It was painful, of course, but I finished and I was like, I love it, and I'm going to Kona. I was like, I love it. And Brad keeps saying like, oh, I thought you just wanted to try one, and now you're like addicted to it. I'm like, I guess so. It's something special. And I guess you feel so, I don't know, relieved and happy when you manage to do a good one. But it's tough, because if you don't manage to do a good one and you have a bad day, then all the hours and commitment, not just yours but the family, it feels mentally hard.
Yeah, you're putting more pressure on yourself there. You've done 4 of them. How many have you done now? You've done Ironman Cairns, Ironman Western Australia,
and then Cairns again, and Port.
Yeah, okay.
But I started 5. So my first one was just before the pandemic hit, 2020 in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And we just talked about how kids bring all the diseases home. So not even a week, few days before my attempted first Ironman, daycare called us that Ruby's sick, so I picked her up, gave her cuddles. She was good the next day, and I caught hand, foot, and mouth from her when we arrived in New Zealand. It was horrible. And I didn't know how bad this disease can be, so I still started the race. And it was like my feet were so sore from those blisters that I couldn't even run to the transition. It was horrible. So I couldn't finish this race. And
oh my goodness. That's nasty. That's nasty.
But then we thought, I'll race, done all the training. I'll race a month later. But by the time a month later came, COVID hit and everything was shut down. And then we had our second daughter.
Yeah, that was I mean, you made the most of that COVID time, having your second daughter, and building the family. But then you've come back, and the Ironmans that you've started, you've had 3 second places. So you've been second twice at Cairns, you've been second at Ironman Australia, and you had the 5th at Ironman Western Australia. I mean, the consistency is there. Like, it's 9:05s, 9:01. A 9:25 and then an 8:58 at Cairns for your personal best, scraping under the 9 hours. Do you feel like the performances you're starting to get a better understanding of what you need to do?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like every extra race, I feel more confident on the bike, which I think was always the most scary for me. I always felt like I don't have the power as the other girls, I would always say to Brad, but now I feel confident, and I know I can ride even on my own, because there was like the first Ironman Cairns. It was Sarah Crowley out at the front, like, I don't know, 5 minutes ahead of me. And then myself on my own, the whole race, not one single person around us. So it was really 180-kilometer time trial. So I was like, this made me like believe that I can do it even on my own. I don't need to even see anyone. So my confidence is there. I still feel like I can't get the run quite yet. I feel like I should be running much faster. So we'll see. We're doing a few little.
What do you guys think that is? Do you think it's a strength from the fatigue from the bike, or is it a calorie thing? What are you putting it down to at the moment?
I feel like I'm just pushing a bit harder on the bike. I feel like you can lose most of the time on the bike, so I don't want to lose most of the time on the bike. And I always feel like, running is easy then, but it's never easy.
It's still a marathon. It's still a marathon off the bike.
Yeah.
It is a big jump, isn't it? Middle distance, it's like a 90K bike to a 21K run. I always felt you could still get after the run a little bit, at least for the first 15, 16K. I treated it almost like a 10K, and then you could kind of just hang on for dear life. Whereas an Ironman is kind of all pacing and telling yourself to slow down.
And it's so much more, with the nutrition and just the preparation the day before the race for Ironman. You're like packing calories in all sorts of bottles and bags, and you have to be really fully focused already the day before. I say Ironman takes 2 days basically.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right. It was one of my least favorite things of having, I even found that at the middle distance, because, I spent my whole career doing the really short stuff. So even the middle distance, having to organize what I'm going to put in a couple of bottles and what I'm going to eat. And I was just like, oh, man.
I feel like you can lose the race the day before the race if you make a mistake and forget to pack something. So
that's such a good point.
I remember before my first Ironman in Cairns, we took the girls over, and like we stayed in like a little hotel room, and the room was crazy and the girls running everywhere. And I almost cried, and I'm begging Brad, take the girls to a playground. I need to get my stuff ready. I'll forget something. So it's really the day before the race is already so important. Prepare everything, count everything. Yeah,
I love it. It's so true, though. I think one of the reasons I only did a couple of Ironmans was almost 100% because of that. Having to do all the logistics side of it. I just wanted to go race and smash myself. And I was like, I got to get all this stuff organized. Then even when I get on the race course, I can't go flat out. Everything's about pacing. And I think you're hearing a lot about my personality right now. But it's basically, I had to work a lot on patience, a lot on self-control. Look, I want to dive into more your training, your racing, how you manage all of that with the family, like we said, your time management. But before we do, I want to get to know you a little bit better. And what I love to do on the show, you said you've listened to the show a couple of times, but what I love to do is rewind the clock and get to know your journey and where you started out from, and when you found your passion for the sport of triathlon. So take us back.
Yeah, so I was born into quite sporty family. My dad was really ambitious tennis player, but he never made it up anywhere. So he wanted his daughters to be really good in tennis. And I think I was really always really motivated, and I wanted to be number one in tennis.
Love it.
Yeah, my heroes was back then Steffi Graf and Andrew Agassi. And I think I started writing my training diary when I was like 9 or 8 years old, like every single day. And I would describe everything what I did, even like, for tennis, like skipping rope and all these little details. But I got heartbroken when I was maybe I was 12, where my dad was like, we have to tell her, you're not going to make it in tennis. You are really bad.
Oh, and what?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a loving parent, but brutal.
Yeah. It broke my confidence. So he kind of, lost the focus on me, and I just chose my own path, and I found love in cross-country skiing in Czech Republic. Mm-hmm. I loved it, and I did it until 15 or 18. But around the same time, I did a little bit of swimming, and there was a swim club where there was also triathlete swimming. Mm-hmm. And this local coach approached me once and said if I want to try triathlon. And the group of the triathletes there, I was like a 15-year-old girl. I was like, oh, yes, I'm swimming in this line with those boys. The triathletes looked pretty good, the bodies. So that is the reason why I chose triathlon.
Oh, I love it. You know what? I've had other guys more than the girls kind of go, oh, I started triathlon because of the girl. That was me. Oh. I started triathlon because I liked one of the girls in the pool. I was like, yeah, I'm going to start swimming. This seems like a pretty good piece to me. I think you're my first to have it the other way around. Love it. Yeah,
it was that. And also I prefer to chase summer than chase winter, because like cross-country skiing, you would always travel, to like mountains and chase the snow. And with triathlon was the opposite, just like first training camp to Mallorca, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love it. And since then I was basically fully committed. I just had to work pretty hard on my swimming. But then, I love the racing. I use it as a motivation. Yeah,
you've always loved to race. You're like, the reason I recognize that, because Laura and I were the same. training was just something we did because we loved to race. And I mentioned that because a lot of people actually don't love to race. They love the training. And even when Laura and I retired, it was kind of, we don't love swimming, biking and running. We love to race triathlon. We love to be around the people, and we love to try and be the best we can be. And ideally that might be the best in the world, even if it's just for a moment in time. You said you grew up in Czech. I raced for a team in Czech in Liberec.
I know. Yeah. I know.
In 95, 96, 97, I think, 3 years there with Jan Rahula and the team. Were you far away from Liberec?
Oh, that's so funny. Like 15 kilometers, literally. Sometimes, so I was in Jablonec, which is, like sometimes if the Jablonec pool would be closed, we would drive to Liberec for swim training, because there's a 50-meter pool. So I was there all the time.
Wow. We probably bumped into it. I remember being there when the McDonald's opened up in Liberec in the square there.
That's the only McDonald's in the area.
It was amazing. The line that went all the way around the town square, or what the center of town there, lining up for McDonald's, and we were like, what? Man, that was incredible. I think that was 95 or maybe 96. Wow. But it was, you would have only been a real youngster then, but I remember going there.
I lived in Germany at that time, I think. So, so I was born in Czech Republic, but then my dad got like a job offer to be a tennis coach in Germany. So we lived there maybe from when I was like 10 until 12 or 13.
Okay.
So
right around that time.
Yeah.
We probably didn't bump into each other.
No,
then. Okay.
I came back later.
I love it. So then you decide to go to the triathlon route, and you made some really good decision there with following the sun and camps in Mallorca and all of that. But when did you sort of realize, I'm actually reasonably good at this, and started to recognize that perhaps this could be a direction you could really make a career?
Yeah, a good point. But I was slightly improving with my swim, and then I was like one of the best in Czech Republic, and so then the door opens more to do some World Cups and stuff like that. I think I was a bit disappointed that I almost could have gone to the Beijing Olympics, but I wasn't chosen. But then by then, I already knew that I want to go to London Olympics. So around that time, I was definitely like, I can make it. And I loved the lifestyle. I basically took all the risk and moved out of Czech Republic and just funded my own training camps on the cheap, though, like somewhere in Asia and stuff like that. Lived out of a suitcase basically until I was almost 30, until I met Brad.
Wow. Yes. I think I remember that about you a lot, actually. You're doing a lot of the Asian races. There was always a strength about you that, I've seen a lot of athletes struggle to leave the nest, to leave what's comfortable around them. But you were somebody that would create your home wherever you were.
Anyway, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so then you realized, what was it like when you finally made the Olympic Games? And what was that process like for you?
It was interesting because with Czech Federation, there was not much funding. Like you'd get maybe 1 or 2 races, like World Cups covered with like just accommodation or something like that. But it felt like it's more like an investment to go to the Olympics, because you had to travel to get points at World Cups and stuff like that. And I was more like, well, I'm doing the sport also to set myself for life. And I could do so many other races and earn much better money than just to like do, World Cup in Madrid and fight for some points. So I kind of combined it, and I did everything. I did the races for good money and then some races for the points. I kind of felt like I'll do one Olympics to tick it off and have this beautiful experience. But then yeah, I was always, from childhood, I always felt like I should save money for something big one day. So it started when I was, I think, 5. I was like cleaning, how you say, it's wiping tennis courts. I don't know how you, like with the net.
Yeah. Sweeping
Yeah,
a tennis
sweeping.
court.
Yeah, I would get
the
like
play tennis courts.
5 Czech krone for that. It's like 10 cents or something. And I already back then I was saving it all. So I was like, I'm saving for one day, I'll be rich. So I think that was always in me. And that's why, all the racing, it was a great motivation. I remember the great feeling when I won my first, like a cross country run uphill back actually in Liberec.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's called Běh na Českou chalupu. It's just 2.5 kilometers uphill, and I just won. It was like 500 Czech kron, which back then was so much. It's like $20. And I was like, this is amazing.
I get paid to do what I love, and you were very. For me, going to 04 Olympics, to your point, was 04. I didn't make much money that year. It was, and when you look at this as a business and it's your career, you can't afford to have too many years where you're not making an income. It's actually costing you to do something. So I totally understand what you mean by the Olympics. To some degree, was ticking the experience bucket, right? Like life is not just about money; it's also about experiences. And the Olympics was okay. Box ticked, and London did an amazing job at that Olympics. So you would have had an awesome experience. But I also get the mindset of, look, I need to go out and start making some money. And where are the big races, and how can I best do that? But you've done that really well. You've got to be pretty proud of the way you've approached it.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I basically didn't rely on my parents and just decided to go my own path. And I think it was actually good in a way, because I didn't want to ask my dad to, give me money for training camp. I never asked for any. I paid my own driver's license with my first money I've earned when I was 18. I'm like, yep, I've won this race that was in Brno, and I'll pay my fee to get a driver's license. And I'm happy that I was not asking for anything.
Yeah, you've always taken full control of your life. You mentioned Brno. I remember racing in Brno with I think it was a European team championships we had back then, and I was representing the Czech team that I was on. And we'd all have to race together, and it was like, and we were pushing. I think we were pushing Jan Rahula at the time, and then he went on to have an amazing career in his own right. But this is way back, 97. I think we had the European team champs in Brno. That's a spectacular race course. It's a beautiful part of the world.
I love the city. I've studied there. I studied university in Brno, and it's a great place.
Yeah. Yeah. So you decided then, you recognize that triathlon's going to be your career, and you've decided to go all in and focus on how to make money. When you look back now at all those experiences, what stands out to you as some of the pivotal moments, the real highs that you've had? And then we'll also, discuss some of the lows. But what were some of the big highs, in your career to date, because you're still really cranking?
I would say really that the intro, basically after I had Ruby, that year 2018, 2019, I didn't expect anything big, and it was just amazing. Every race went so well. So I would say that was my highs. But if you wouldn't ask for like racing wise results, I would say the highs were the whole life, because triathlon brought me, to so many beautiful places. I met amazing people. I have friendship for the whole life. And so without triathlon, I wouldn't, I would probably be just a girl in Czech Republic doing, whatever. But I got to see the whole world. I met my husband. That's probably the high. Like, how would I meet someone from Australia and then, live here? if I wouldn't be doing triathlon. This is probably the best what triathlon actually could have given me. The traveling, seeing all these different countries, meeting different people. I've been on so many homestays in the US. It's unreal. it's like unreal, because in US everyone takes you for homestay. In Czech Republic, no one would ever even think that you can offer to someone to stay with you. It's just different, completely different thinking and mentality, and it's so good to see the differences everywhere. It's like, yeah, you learn with every trip.
I want to say something here, and you might be able to tell me if I'm right or wrong. I feel like I played a pretty big hand in getting you and Brad together. I remember being in Busselton 70.3 in the transition area with Brad, and I think it must have been, I don't know, I can't remember now, 10 years ago. Let's just say that for vagueness. And I remember saying to him, hey, I don't know how serious Radka is with her current boyfriend, if you had it at the time. And I think, you should definitely ask her out. So I don't know if that's been passed on to you, but I feel like I had a hand.
I love you guys so much since Brad told me that. Because Brad told me this story a few times, and I'm like, this is awesome. I love it. So thank you. Officially,
of course. I've always thought the world of both of you guys. I had Brad on the show and remember so many fond training camps and training experiences with Brad, and just seeing him. I watched him basically from a boy become a man, as he joined Brett Sutton's squad in the mid to late 90s there. And then we got to know you, probably 10 years after that, especially you'd come over and do some of the racing in the US, and was always a big fan of yours. And so it was like that to me was a match made in heaven. And now here you are living in Australia, married with two kids. It's life happens. I love it.
It was Mandurah.
Mandurah, not Busselton. Mandurah. Yeah. It was over there somewhere. I don't know. I remember you were both there. I remember the race. Can't remember what year it was, but anyway, very cool that you guys are together. Love that we played a little bit of a part of all of that. But now you look back, okay, so the positives, you've met your husband, you've had great experiences, traveled the world, you've made a reasonable living, I'm sure. You've got to know yourself pretty well. But what are some of the, what have been some of the times that you've struggled, and how have you sort of adapted and transitioned out of those moments?
I think my biggest struggle was 2014 or 15. I had a really bad knee injury. And it took me for ages to figure out what's wrong. I was already back with Brad, and we were on a lift or half training camp in Lennox Head. And I had just this swollen knee, and I couldn't run, and I didn't know what's going on. And I was like thinking I might never run again. And I actually traveled back to Czech Republic to get a knee surgery. It was like my cartilage in the knee was like all cracked in.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, but I think I've damaged it because I had a little bit sore knee, but it was just before. Was it Bahrain 70.3 or something? And we arrived there, and I'm like, it's so sore, but I want to race this amazing race. So I went to a local hospital, and they're like, oh, we can give you some cortisone, it should be fine. But then later I learned that if you have a little crack in your cartilage, cortisone will actually eat it or something, damage it more. So I think that was really bad. And the recovery after the surgery was quite long. I had to be so patient. But I stick with it. I just kept swimming and riding. And then, I was back racing 2015. And so that was the biggest, I think.
How good was it to get back racing? And,
amazing.
You were straight onto the podiums, 70.3 Norway in July. That experience is always, after a long time off an injury, to just get back and actually, I can still do this. What was that experience like?
And you actually, if you have a longer break, you actually realize how much you love it, how much you miss the feeling of racing, training and everything. And I sometimes, if I'm really tired and feel like, oh my God, I have to do this long ride, I remind myself how how hard it would be if I wouldn't be able to ride, or if I would be sick or something. That gets me like more motivated. If I feel like, oh, I'm really tired, I can't be bothered today. Then I remember, like, what would you do if you would be injured or sick, or you wouldn't have anyone to watch your kids? Now it's like even more like, I don't even have the feelings like I can't be bothered, because every time I have the opportunity to train, I make sure I make the most of it. So yeah.
Let's shift gear and talk about that a little bit more, because I want to, like we talked about earlier in the show, you're in intentional training, I'll call it. It's not just training for training's sake. You're not trying to just get the 30-hour, 40-hour weeks that everybody likes to brag about. Well, they tend to in our sport. It's you get your time. When you get your time, it's like, okay, I'm on and I need to do a good job. Tell me about the kind of training that you're doing. What's a typical kind of training week, especially now where we're recording this, the end of August. You've got, big events coming up. What's your sort of training week like at the moment?
Yeah, like you said, I can't afford to go for like an easy spin, coffee ride, easy jog. That's all out of the window. That's definitely not. If I do training, it always has a purpose, and there's no junk miles, no time for that. So I'm actually not. I probably train 25 max hours a week. I fit in 5 swims, 2 gyms, 3 runs, and 4 bike rides. And everything has its purpose. 2 of the rides are quite long now, and then other 2 are like on the wind trainer. I started using wind trainer a lot when Ruby was born, and I felt like that helped me so much in all the results I had in 2018, 2019, because wind trainer is really boring if you just pedal, isn't it? So if I would do wind trainer, I would have exactly the set written out. And if you divide it into those efforts, it goes so much quicker. So I think
100%.
Yeah, and like in 2-hour wind trainer session, you can destroy yourself pretty well. So you can do a really good quality training, something like if you would do 3 hours, 3.5 outside. So that's why
I think it's even better than that. I couldn't agree with you more. It was one of the staple workouts for me my entire career. It was once a week I would do 12 by 5 minutes big gear on the wind trainer with 1 minute recovery in between each, and a quick warm up and a quick cool down, and I'm done in an hour and a half. And it was, but I would do it really well, and it's like I thought that workout, because I just kept it going forever. And this is before Zwift and everything. This is on the old school type trainers, but it was just the amount of strength and specific work you get with no wasted time, no rolling hill. You get very specific. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, you don't stop pedaling. You don't unclick for traffic lights. It's really good. And I also love, one of the runs is on a treadmill. I also really love it since I had Ruby. Treadmill was my to-go tool, because with Ruby, I didn't have that much like help with someone watching her. So I usually smashed it when she was sleeping, which was like, I really had to make the most of it. So once she would fall asleep, I would throw everything aside and go straight to treadmill or wind trainer, just because, I didn't know if the training will be 1 hour or 1.5 or 2. I just had to
sprint as long as you can until the baby wakes up.
And the effort finishes once she starts crying.
I think you're probably the only mum in the world that's wishing for your baby to wake up and start crying just so you can have a rest. Oh my goodness. And I love, we skipped right over this, but the fact that you gave birth to Ruby. 11 weeks later, you're not just doing an Ironman 70.3, you're winning it. Ironman 70.3 Davao. What is that? How I say it?
Davao. Yeah, in Philippines. Yeah,
in the Philippines. We're going to have to spend 1 minute on this because that in itself is just extraordinary.
Yeah, I still don't know how I did that because when I think back, I'm thinking it's crazy because I love racing in Philippines, and I was pregnant, and I'm like already planning the next season as if nothing. Just have the baby in January, that's fine. And so I emailed the race organizer. That was back then Brad and his Sunrise Events team, and I'm like, guys, I'm coming in March. Is that all right?
March 25th was the race, by the way. You gave birth January 5th. This race is March 25th. Okay.
And they're like, well, you're having a baby. I'm like, I'll be fine. It's like a couple of months later. And this can only say someone who never had a baby and doesn't know how much it takes out of you, the delivery. And like, I was probably thinking you just deliver a baby and go like as their normal life.
Yeah.
I still don't know how I did it, but I was so motivated and I was so keen to go back to racing.
It's not just there's the physical, definitely you've got the mental energy to want to go back racing, but when you have a baby, obviously there's a physical component to getting back to somewhat normal, but your hormones have changed and and then you've got all the oxytocin and those hormones to just be with the baby all the time. So then you start, I just think it must have been, was there a little bit of like pull towards the baby, but then the motivation still to race and this kind of constant battle, or was it kind of like, no, it's under control? How was that?
I felt like I was always with the baby. I don't know. The training was not crazy. I didn't start running until a few weeks before the race. Yeah. I was like, well, it's a really hot race. No one will run fast anyway. It's just a jog. But I was able to start swimming and riding like within a week. And wow. I had still fitness from when I was pregnant because I could do all the training until basically due date.
Wow.
So
okay.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But what I'm most proud of, or I don't know, but I basically had to, when Ruby was born, I had to go straight to the post office to take a photo of her and make a passport for her and hope that the passport will be ready before I travel to Philippines.
Because you took Ruby with you?
Yeah, I took her with me and I traveled on my own without Brad.
And were you breastfeeding as well?
Yes. Yeah. So the passport...
Hang on, I don't even understand. The math doesn't add up. This is insane. This is unbelievable. There's a story just in this. We could spend the whole show just talking about this. So you traveled with Ruby.
She was good. She slept a lot. But I organized...
Yeah.
I organized through a friend, Filipino nanny. And I just expressed some milk, explained her when to give her the bottles. And I raced, finished, picked her up, and the race was done.
Wow.
Crazy.
You are one of the most resilient, strongest, unbelievable people I think I've ever had on the show, because that story in itself is just incredible. You've always been somebody, like you said earlier in the show, that, pack up, look after what I need to get done, taking responsibility for myself, and away I go. And that to me is truly inspiring, or it could actually make some mums out there feel like,
yeah, I was going to say,
like, does it?
I was going to say, I don't want anyone to compare, because every child, every mom is different, and like you said, the hormones they can make a mess out of any lady. Sure. And
yes, no comparing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if I would compare my two pregnancies, I was thinking I'm gonna cruise through the second one with Indy, it'll be all the same. And it went everything opposite. I had really bad morning sickness. I had gestational diabetes with Indy.
Oh, okay.
Crazy. And I came back too quickly after Indy because I thought I have everything under control, and then had a femur stress fracture. So everything different, definitely different. So
that's a great contrast.
yeah.
You know, when I had Chelsea Sodaro on the show, and she was talking, you know, obviously she came and won Ironman Kona about 18 months after having, well, I can't remember the exact date actually, but she came back. She had a little bit of regrets. Even though she was the Kona Ironman World Champion, she had moments where she kind of said, there were times I wish I could have just been with the baby, and I sacrificed some of that time to do Ironman Kona, which I thought for her showed a little bit of vulnerability in the sense that there was a little bit of regret, even though she was sitting there. This is a few weeks I talked to her after she'd just won Ironman Kona last year. She was like, you know, yes, it's great to have won Ironman Kona, but I'll never get that time back with my child again. Did you have any moments like that? Or it sounds to me like your training was just when your baby was sleeping, or what was that moment for you like?
Yeah, well, I would say the first 1.5 years of, when I say only with Ruby, it was easy. Like you said, the baby, I trained only when she was sleeping. She didn't miss out on me at all. And she had a happy mom. I would say this is like really important. But then, exactly like you say about Chelsea, when the child starts to think, talk, and express themselves, it's so much harder. I had so many times this mom guilt feeling, and I talk about it with Brad all the time. I sometimes want to cry. I don't want to go. And then Brad has to explain me that, hang on, there's so many moms who work 9 to 5 and they don't see the kid. So he always gets me to look at it in a different perspective.
Change the perspective.
Yes, yes. But there is definitely a thing about mom's guilt, and I actually want to write an article about it for my for my sponsor, because it's huge. And I as now at the PTO in Singapore, there was 5 athletes there was 20 athletes racing, but 5 of us were moms. And I was like, I want to just go and have a dinner with all those girls, the moms, and just talk about it, because everyone has the same feelings. We all were like, oh, we have to buy a present now for the girls or for the kids. And it's harder the older they are. Now when I have Ruby, she's 5.5, and she's actually getting better. But like half year ago, she would be like, oh, Mom, are you riding in the morning? And she would always plan. And so if I say, no, tomorrow morning I have brekkie with you and then I ride, and she would be like, yay. Or sometimes I'll be like, yeah, when you wake up, I won't be there, but I'll come back very soon. And she always asks, what's the next day? And that makes me really like, I'm guilt. But then, then I look at it, I'm at home with you when the other moms are at work. So
exactly. No, and the other way to look at it as well, I'll add my 2 cents here because you're going to write an article on it. The other thing is, you're also showing, you're not just talking about, you're showing how to squeeze the most out of life, and you're showing discipline and determination. And there's a lot that you're showing. You know, these young kids pick up on everything, and you're showing that, to be successful at something and to get the most out of yourself, sometimes you got to sacrifice a little bit of the things that you obviously would prefer to be doing. And I think that in itself is a gift you're giving, you know, with that, because it's not just about you and being totally selfish and this is what I want to do in my life and screw you kids. It's like, no, this is for the family too. This is a business. This is, you know, I need to go out there and support the family as well. So I think there's more to it than just feeling guilty. You know what I mean?
100%. Like, you giving your children something, like they will see that how sport can make you happy, show them hard work, dedication, and all of it. So I think, and Ruby's already motivated, and wants to do some running and stuff like that. I think it's really good. But I want to show the girls that I do it because I love it. So if they ask me, I don't say I have to do the ride. I say, Mommy wants to do the ride. And Ruby would be like, but why? I said, you know how you love jumping on a trampoline? Yeah. Well, Mommy loves to ride her bike. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love that. That's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think your approach to all of it has been tremendous. I'm totally admiring your discipline to the process. Brad has been, you guys are a great team, a great unit. When I think of amazing couples, you two are working together. You're building, the Wagga Swim Hub. He's coaching you in your triathlon career. You're raising 2 kids. You're living in Wagga Wagga, Australia. For people in the US and in Europe, it's a thriving country town, but it's a country town. You're doing amazing together. I'm not saying that at times you don't probably feel like ripping each other's heads off as well. I mean, that's a couple. But from what I can tell, you two are quite a unit, and you're really operating at a high level in terms of time management, like we talked about earlier. How are you finding the living in Wagga Wagga and the cultural differences between that and Europe and Czech Republic?
I just have to go back to what you said first. I'm really happy you mentioned Brad, because I would say without a supportive husband or partner, it's not possible to do it all like that, because I feel like Brad was from beginning a perfect dad. Like, I know there's some guys who never change nappy, or at least my dad never did. But Brad was from beginning. He was fine with changing nappies, giving the girls a bath. I mean, he doesn't really cook, but that's okay. No, but he's perfect, and I don't need to be worried if I go for a 5-hour ride. I know that the girls will be fine, and they're happy with him. So this helps a lot. So yeah, without a supportive partner, it would be difficult. So huge credit to him.
You guys have been amazing like that. And he's been doing his own marathons, and, I had him on the show, and he just got back from him and Tyler Butterfield, I think, pick a marathon each year that they go hang out together and go do. And they do incredibly well. I mean, they're running 220 or so, or sub 220. Anyway, they're
219. Yeah. Brad wants to, I think he wants to go to 18 now. He booked with Tyler again. They're going in December to, oh my God, I'll say it wrong, Fukuoka in Japan. That's
Fukuoka.
That's the next goal. But yeah, he is still, I think when I retire, I also want to just keep doing some sport, because it just keeps you,
You still got to keep doing something. I think I've said on the show, it's like I actually find training for health much harder than training and having at least somewhat of a goal. But it's it's, my mind changed in the sense that I just wanted to get big and strong. So I'd like to say, I think I've put on 12.5 kilos or 13 kilos since racing, but at the same time, I think some of it's muscle. I'm hoping some of it's muscle. It's not all fat. But how have you found living in Wagga, and have your family been able to travel out to see you?
Yeah, so I love Wagga, but it's perfect size. It's like 60,000 people, and it's super friendly for, super great for raising little kids. I would say if you drive somewhere, it's maximum 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Maybe like this, like school traffic, it's 15 minutes and everyone complains.
You get the one set of traffic lights.
Yeah. No, this is what I love, because you can do all your jobs for the day and do it in one spot here around Wagga. Like if I would live in a big city, you would be still on traffic jams and stuff. So that's what I love about Wagga. Everyone knows everyone. And now with us having the business Wagga Swim Hub, I feel like I know everyone, especially everyone with kids. Yeah. And it's just such a friendly little city or town. And it's really good for training. the running trails we have here. It's amazing. The bike riding, I can go out, through middle of nowhere through some paddocks and never stop, like no traffic lights or anything. The only thing I'm not a big fan of is the Wagga Winter, which is finally finishing. It gets cold. It is really cold. And then when finally winter finishes, the spring starts. And what I don't like, being from Europe, there is magpies attacking you.
That's so true. Oh, the maggies.
Yeah.
Oh, the magpies are a bird, everyone, a black and white bird that are beautiful, but they swoop
comes from up from the tree and hits your helmet or so I hate them.
Shit out of you, doesn't it?
So Brad is joking, but like laughing, but I'm keen to just stay in my shed on a trainer or treadmill just to avoid them. And then
they're protecting their young. They think you're going to go grab their nest, and so they're swooping and keeping everybody away. Yeah. Once you know where they are, their particular nest, you just got to avoid those roads.
Yeah, so I'm like, my long rides are now shorter and shorter because I know where they are, and so I'm cutting it short.
Oh, I love that. That is so true. Would you have any? Would you ever want to go back to Czech for a stint, or is it? Have you guys talked about that?
Yeah. So basically, the COVID disturbed our plans. We always had we would go for the European summer. We would travel to Europe, and we actually had for the 2020 planned, and we already booked in Czech Republic like an apartment where we were going to stay for, I think, 3 months. That's the longest Brad can stay in Europe. But that since then, basically COVID hit, and we haven't been there, and it's 5 years almost now.
Yeah.
And so next year I'll be 40, and my wish is to go back to Czech for Christmas. So we're locking that in because my grandma actually never met Indy, which is horrible. Yeah. But my mom, she comes every year to see us here in Wagga Wagga. She's so good. She loves summer, but every year when the summer arrives to Europe, she packs her bags and flies to Wagga Winter to see my little girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We it just took us 5 years to get back to Australia, actually, because again, like you, we'd planned 2020, going down to Australia, everything was booked and boom, it stopped. And then it's just taken so many years. And we finally just went home and had 6 weeks back down, or 5.5 weeks back in Australia, which was unbelievable. We were so spoiled with the weather and catching up with everyone. But it's you're a dual citizen right now, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Australia?
Yes. Congratulations. And is Brad dual with Czech?
No, so the Czech people make it so hard. I think he would have. I think he would have to pass like a Czech language test, which is crazy.
Can you not speak Czech?
No.
None?
He could understand like Dobronoc, which means good night.
Dobrý,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, you speak more than Brad.
I know enough I remember there were so many pretty girls in Czech, Radka, when I was there in the mid-90s. It was like, you just need the right motivation. Oh. And the fact that you're speaking English to him, I guarantee he'll speak Czech if you only start speaking Czech to him. Be like, I really like this girl. I wanted her to talk to me.
Yeah, I still speak Czech to the girls. It's
cool.
It's hard because they answer back in English and then I forget that I wanted to speak Czech. So it's like really hard. But my mom is like pushing me, like, please speak Czech to them. So when she was here now,
it's a gift.
She was happy because they understood her and I was impressed. So I have to just keep it going. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Rads, this has been awesome. I truly am inspired by you. And everything that you've accomplished and you continue to accomplish. Like you said earlier, the mums of the world of triathlon, when I think of yourself and Sarah True and Chelsea Sidaro and Rinny, who's just retired, and I know I'm missing a whole bunch, but it really has been inspiring to see this generation of women come through, have babies, still love the sport, still do wonderful things in the sport. It's been absolutely fantastic. But before we finish, I do have some final questions. And I know I'm keeping you up, so let's run through them. First one, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
I would say to be more confident. Because when I was young, I was quite often sick. So, but yeah, I be confident, trust my decision, just chase the dreams, because like I had the dream. I mean, I'm not the world number one in tennis, but I still got somewhere in a different sport. So yeah, but just to be patient and
I think that confidence one, I go through my C's, be confident, be courageous, be curious. Like it's all of those things I repeat to myself quite often, because I don't think naturally I'm a confident person. Like I have to build myself up, and if I could go back and tell my 18-year-old self, I'd almost say the same thing as that. It's like, everyone's BSing here. Just be more confident. Yeah. I love it. All right. 3 people you would want to have dinner with, non-family, living or dead.
Well, because I'm so into all those amazing moms, I would love to have dinner with Alison Felix, Serena Williams.
Wow.
And then, not to make it too boring with the moms just talking about nappies and stuff, then I would invite Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, that's an awesome 3. Well done. Oh my gosh. I think that is fantastic. Yes, that's one of my favorites I think I've had on the show. I'm a huge fan of Arnie. Obviously not everything he did, for everybody screaming at me, but the way he reinvented himself multiple times. Did you watch that Netflix with him, Arnold?
I started it with Brad. He finished it. I didn't finish watching it. I definitely have to watch the whole thing.
When you've got time.
Yes, I know. I can't. When I'm folding some laundry or stuff, so I can do it.
That's what Laura does. She brings the laundry basket over, and if we watch sport or tennis or whatever we're watching.
That's our normal thing,
Yeah, that's exactly the same thing. How do you plan out your days? Do you sort of plan the week out on a Sunday, or are you planning it out the night before? And you've got to be somewhat flexible too, right?
Yes, exactly. So we always plan it the night before.
Okay.
Because, you have to be flexible. If I would plan on Monday what I'm doing on Friday, it would probably not happen. I mean, the rough plan is there, but always on like the evening, we just plan what time you do this, what time does Brad do this, and plan it almost to a minute.
You're amazing. You'd have to do that, and you've got to be somewhat flexible. All right, next one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
So I think in 5 years' time, both girls will be at school and hopefully independent. So we would love to start traveling again a bit more as a family. With traveling, you learn so much just from traveling.
I couldn't agree more.
So more traveling. I'll be probably retired by then.
Well, we'll have to connect our families, because that's exactly what we have. We've got this 5-year push while they're really young here. We'll be in Florida, get into school, but then it's all about worldly experiences, and we want to connect with families around the world and do the same kind of thing. So we'll have to stay in touch. Deal. I love that. Perfect. Deal. All right, let's finish with some rapid fire questions. You up for it?
Yeah.
All right. One book you'd recommend?
Recently, I recommended it to others, is Good for a Girl.
What is it called?
Is it Good for a Girl?
Good for a Girl. Okay. Perfect. And what's that about?
So it's Lauren Fleischman.
Oh, yes.
Is it called Good for a Girl? Let me quickly check because I'm getting tired. Good for a Girl. Yeah, so it's a runner, accomplished runner, obviously, but she's talking about her experience growing up in the environment of female athletes, runners, and how the environment and the pressure on them is almost destroying them in the way how they feel like they need to all be skinny to perform. It's really like an eye-opener. I think all the coaches should read it, if they're coaching female athletes. And I have a few close friends who are like kind of more in the like teenage age, like they're much younger than I. And sometimes if they struggle with like nutrition or mentally, I just told my two friends they should read it, because I think that's a really helpful book.
Perfect. Good. All right. Good for a Girl by Lauren Fleischman. Perfect. All right. 2 most used apps on your phone.
I would say Simply Swim, which is it's an online, like it's a software for swim schools where we book families in, and then it just messages with like just this is how I'm in touch with my family. So is it WhatsApp and stuff like that? So definitely through that. This is my only contact.
You have no time for social media and just browsing. I love that. So boom, it's either business or what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, if I'm on a wind trainer and can't find anything to listen to, if you don't put any new podcasts on, then I go to social media and see what's happening around the world.
Yeah. Just to browse.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite race?
Ooh. I've done so many amazing races, but I would still say it's Laguna Phuket Triathlon. I haven't raced there for ages now. It's really hard logistically as well.
Beautiful race.
But it's such a beautiful race, location, love Thailand, love the people. And it's like always at the end of the year. So it's kind of like already you start celebrating the off season and Christmas and stuff like that. Love it.
No, I agree. I think that would be in my top 3 for sure. A good one. Okay, next one. Out of 10, how cool are you?
Oh, so I would say for my girls, I'm 10 because I do all the crazy stuff with them. I dance with them. I dress up in different costumes when they want, whatever they want. But for like an adult person, I'm like a 1.
Oh, please, Rads. There's no way. You're 10 across the board.
I don't go out. I go to sleep at 10. I'm tired. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I'm not like,
Yes, but don't you realize that that's now that's now cool? People, the whole drinking, smoking, and all the partying, that's not cool anymore. So you didn't realize.
Not for our age group, isn't it? Yeah.
No, not for our. All right, couple more. What decade of music is best?
80s.
Oh gosh, you really are awesome. All right, greatest movie of all time.
Oh my God. Can you pause it?
You want me to throw some at you and see?
I oh my God, I have a.
It's been a long time since you watched movies, huh?
Yeah.
You know what we've gotten into recently with the kids is The Greatest Showman. They love that one.
Oh.
Have you watched that?
No, I'm watching Baby John Cocomelon with India.
The Greatest Showman is a musical one with Hugh Jackman, and it's basically about how the circus was started. Anyway, that's a good one. But look, if you don't have one, you can just say, I don't have one for the moment.
Not for the moment.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, final one. Where's somewhere in the world you haven't been that you'd like to go?
I think I haven't been to India, and we wanted to go with Brad before we have kids, but we didn't manage to. And then I was like, I'm not going when the girls are little. It's too crazy. But one day we want to go to India.
All right, perfect. Well, Radka, this has been absolutely amazing. From 9 o'clock at night, you started at 6 a.m. with your run group this morning, and I know you're up before that getting ready. It's been a long day. I truly appreciate you and just this chance to catch up. It's been too long. What do you got coming up next then? You know, like I said, you've got 4 or 5 weeks till Ironman Kona. What's
before that, I'll still manage to go to Sunshine Coast 70.3, which is next weekend.
Okay.
And then basically Kona, and then I didn't plan much after that. I'll do Challenge Canberra, which is a your race like in November, but I didn't plan much after Kona. I think Belinda Granger told me, don't plan anything after Kona. You have to go all in. So
yeah. I think that's a great idea. What's that saying? Burn the boats. It's like don't make backup plans. It's like go all in, see what you get.
Yeah, because otherwise, mentally, if the race starts to be painful, you'll be like, oh, maybe I should just save myself for the next one. Nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, all the very best for Kona. I'm a huge fan. You know that. We've been friends for a long time. And enjoy the whole experience too.
Yeah.
Just being out there on the Queen K and the Leahy Drive and all of those famous places. Are the whole family going?
Nope. So this is like another topic for like mother's guilt feeling and stuff like that. If it would be me, I'm going like 2 days out, race and come back. But Brad is like, no, if you want to race, you have to go earlier to acclimatize. So I'm going. Then Brad comes and leaves the girls with his mum and dad. So it's going to be like a little honeymoon with an Ironman in there.
Oh, I love it. That's brilliant. Well, Radka, thank you again. Staying up late, sharing your story with me. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. I really appreciate just sharing all your knowledge and wisdom as well about motherhood and time management and everything else. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Greg. It was great to chat to you.
Yeah. All right. And everybody else, you can find all the show notes and timestamps and everything else at bennettendurance.com/media. All right. Stay on the line, Radka. Appreciate you.